Okay, Peter 1, Peter 2, Peter 2, Peter 3.
It beat you! I beat you!
This is the way.
This is the way. Vengeance. I am the knight. I am Batman.
And welcome back to the Nerding Out Podcast. This is the episode that we have been waiting to do for a long time. The Batman is finally here. These two have already seen it twice. I'm going tomorrow to see it again for the second time. I mean, Caleb, go ahead and give us a quick synopsis of the whole film, just spoiler free. We will break
spoiler free.
We will break down when we are going to get into spoilers. So just what's
okay. So this is for the people that haven't watched it yet. Okay. All right. So pretty much, you have a detective film, and I'm sure we've in our previous podcast we've kind of said most of this, but detective film. You know, there's not a whole lot of action. Rob Pat kills it as Batman. Yes. All the performances are great.
Yes.
Like me and Mike were talking, the worst performance was Carmine Falcone as John Turturro, and he was still good.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like we had a Maggie Gyllenhaal, Rachel from The Dark Knight. There was no bad performance. So it was great. All performances all around were great. The story was great. Yeah. The riddles from the Riddler, Paul Dano, amazing.
We'll get into him. Yeah.
Literally awesome. You can't get into much of him without spoilers. But the movie, it was everything I wanted it to be. I was actually going into the first viewing, I was let down in a sense, but it was because I had pretty much already watched the movie in my mind. And then on the second viewing, I got to appreciate it for what I knew was going on. Me and him, we went and saw it together again. And we were even more pumped for the second viewing because, you know, it was just all fresh. I wasn't expecting nothing.
Yeah.
I knew what everything was going to happen, and I got to enjoy it. And just it was great. The second viewing was a whole lot better than the first one, in my mind. Like, my ranking went up so much higher after the second viewing. But the first viewing was still amazing.
Yeah.
And, it was great. It did everything I wanted it to. We officially now have a Batman.
Yes.
Like we hadn't had a definitive Batman, and I think Robert Pattinson killed it. So there's your little 3-minute synopsis of the whole movie.
All right, so from this point on, spoiler alert, because it's hard to talk about this movie without getting into spoilers because, I mean, it's the best parts of the movie. So
yeah, go watch the movie and then come back.
Watch it
twice.
I like
come
that.
Right back.
So, I mean, we'll just kick it off with, in my opinion, what is the best opening to a comic book movie of all time.
I have to agree.
Obviously, we open up, and it's year 2 Batman. He is in his second year. He's established himself as basically the Knight of Gotham. He is the Shadow. He is everything at this point. And so we see 3 different crimes happen in Gotham, and out of nowhere, the bat signal turns on.
Well, don't even start with that. It starts with the Riddler. With the binoculars, he's spying out his first victim.
Yeah.
And that scene. Of course, both of these are great.
Yeah.
They introduce the 2 main characters, pretty much main characters. And they do it so well. Like, I always love the opening of. It's like the opening of Dark Knight. You know, they set up the Joker with the bank heist, and then they set up Batman, what he's doing when he stops that mob scene. And they do it really well, and they probably, in my mind, do it better in this one because you get the creepy horror element of Riddler killing the mayor, his first victim. Yeah. And the way they shot that, the way the Riddler...
He crouches down and walks away. The Riddler's just right there behind him,
the way he's breathing, and the way he just embraces the scene.
Yeah.
And the killing and the clues left was great.
Yeah.
And then they get into the Batman, and golly, they actually started out with the narration.
Oh yeah, it was perfect.
They genuinely started with the narration. I thought Micah was going to pass out.
It was so good. It was so good. I mean, we were all. I think the biggest question going into this was how good was Robert Pattinson going to be, and he's the best on-screen Batman we have seen. Batman. We didn't get enough of him as Bruce Wayne for me to definitively say that he's the best overall. But overall, as Batman, he is the best. There's no questioning that. Because he has that
there was just a gravitas.
Yeah,
to him,
yeah,
he was like a legend. Like,
yeah.
And they hit that because that's who Batman is in the comics and these animated series that we all love. He's like this otherworldly character.
Yeah.
But he's not like Superman. Like Superman is actually an otherworldly character, and this dude, the weight to his boots walking around, the coming out of the shadows, and that's we'll get into the second scene with him with his three different crimes going on. And one guy's spray painting some graffiti or whatever, and the other guy's robbing a store, and then it's the little white painted face gang that he actually goes after, and he's saying in his voiceover, and Pattinson's voice is incredible. He does incredible as this voiceover, and he's describing that he can't be everywhere. And that's what Batman is. He can't do everything like Superman. Superman just flies around, fixes everything. But he has to pick his targets, but there's this fear that it's been in place.
It's the legend of Batman that holds people.
And those shots were crazy.
So you have the first guy who robs the gas station walk out and just looks down this dark alley, and there's nothing there, and all
they all see the bat signal.
They all see the bat signal, and he turns and looks at this dark alley, and it's just like there's this overall terror to it, to where it's like, man, if you were in this guy's shoes, I wouldn't want to be there, because what if Batman's in that shadow? And they were drilled by a cop car, and we continue on. The guys from the spray painting the bank, Gotham Bank. Oh man! Just turn and look, and there's again,
the can rolls in. Yeah. His can rolls into the darkness, and you're just kind of expecting Batman to come out, and he just doesn't. And he's like, "I am the shadows."
Yeah. And so when we finally see Batman with the painted face gang, it was a cool Easter egg in there. Tim Drake from Titans was the younger guy in there. I thought that was pretty cool. But it's actually not Tim Drake, it's the actor. But we look down this another dark corridor in the train station, and you just hear, and it's just him walking.
He sounds like he's 300 pounds. He literally sounds like he's 300 pounds.
And it's so different from the Batman we expect. Like, we expect Batman to just drop down from the ceiling, grab one, and go. Nah, he's just bad, dude.
He knows it. He knows. He is there to instill fear. So what was your overall thoughts with these two great scenes?
Yeah.
Y'all hit the nail on the head, man. It's like just everything he says just gives you chills. Like at one point he goes, like, 2 years in the dark has made me into a nocturnal animal. And it's just like, oh, this dude, everything that he says, the way, like, literally just the way that his eyes look. You mentioned his boots. It's like, demands respect. And you said legend, and like he literally is. He just, everybody knows, like, oh crap, he's here. You know what I mean? Even if he's not, he's just, his presence is everywhere, and like that's how much respect he demands. Dude,
in 2 years,
and in the narration, he's going through all this and everything that happens, and his theme comes on and everything, and he's journaling down every single thought he's having, everything he sees. It's just so good. Yeah. Oh my god.
This is his. I mean, this is Batman. Like, Bruce Wayne is a secondary character in this movie. Batman is
not a thought.
Yeah, Batman is the main character of this film.
They define that early on in the movie. Care what happens to me. This is what I'm doing, and I mean, and it starts off. I mean, when that. Talk about the score for a second.
Oh my gosh!
That score cut on when he walks out of the shadows.
Yeah,
and he's just. I mean, he's there. He's like that theme. Incredible. The way it brings and the way it changes scenes. Anytime he shows up, it starts playing.
Yeah,
and it's just like they don't hear it, but for us to hear it, it's like, oh, he's there. It's about to go down.
Yeah,
we're safe, pretty much.
Oh yeah.
Like, it's that kind of. And then I think he transitions to. It kind of shows the state of the city.
With Something in the Way by Nirvana playing in the background,
too.
And
the fact that they actually played that was awesome. Like, I was kind of wondering, I was like, are they actually going to play the song? Because I thought they were just going to do the theme.
Right.
And he's riding on his bike throughout the city, going back to the Batcave, and just the world, it's gorgeous.
Gotham,
like, it's ugly. It's ugly, but it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
They nailed
it. I feel like in this movie, this is the first time Gotham is really its own character, too.
Yes. The
actual crime and just dissent in Gotham is this actual entity that not only is Batman facing against, but it's physically dragging him down. I I don't think Gotham has ever been implemented that much before in a Batman movie and that well.
Gotham's never even looked that good. Like that genuinely looked like Gotham.
Yeah.
Like, if I was to imagine Gotham, and it looked real too. You know, it wasn't like 1989 where it was all this gothic tall skyscrapers and stuff like that. Like
or
it was
Dark Knight, where it's basically New York.
Well, no, Dark Knight was like literally Chicago.
Yeah.
Like if you've ever been to Chicago, like people say, oh, if they've lived in Chicago, oh, I've been there, done that, and it's just. It's still cool, of course, because it's Dark Knight, but this just created its own world that I didn't know was possible. So him riding his bike to the city, and even the Batcave, I was curious about how that was going to look. And when he comes in, and the bats are all flying around. It looks really good. Like it actually looks like a Batcave.
Yeah,
I was curious to see if it was going to feel like a Batcave, and it really did.
Let's talk Alfred real quick. Something that I was very surprised by in a 3-hour movie, maybe at most 15 minutes of screen time with Alfred, and that's being generous.
Probably generous.
That's being very
yeah.
I am obviously, for those of you who know me, I'm a big Andy Serkis fan. From Lord of the Rings to Planet of the Apes, everything in between. I thought he was good for the time that they're in. They're in a year 2. He's still. Of course, Serkis isn't young, but he's not as old as Michael Caine is. Let's be honest, his performance will never touch Michael Caine.
Michael Caine is untouchable.
Yeah, he is. Michael Caine is Alfred. Let's put that out there. But I think the further we go along with the story, Serkis will become a very good Alfred. We just didn't get enough of him. Yeah. That's the thing.
They were trying to build the divide between him and Bruce because they want to set up, and they even paid off a little bit in this movie. Like, they wanted to set up the, in most relationships, you start out as kind of like questioning each other or whatever, and those are the best types of relationships when you have a little division, and then you blossom it into, they're almost going to be like father-son. Yeah. That's what they're going for, and the fact that Bruce has lost his father, of course, we all know, and that's another thing I love that they didn't do. They didn't show us the... They didn't act like we were dumb. Yeah. Like they acted like we actually knew what we were talking about, and which was really cool. Yeah. But yeah, I think Serkis will be a good Alfred, and they're gonna build that relationship big in the next movie.
And Caleb alluded to this. This is one of the first Batman projects that does not show the death of the Waynes. And
other than like sequel movies, I'm pretty sure it's the first movie that hasn't showed it.
So yeah, it is very cool. It's awesome to see that they treated us like we're fans, because we are. Like, we all know, okay, Batman loses his parents. We don't have to keep seeing this over and over again and have it drilled into our heads. Let's see. Zoe Kravitz's Catwoman. I'm gonna eat a little bit of crow here. She was amazing. I know I said earlier that I was a little bit worried. I had no reason to. She killed it. I thought she was an amazing addition to this story. Very, very similar to comic book Catwoman in her appearance and in her overall attitude. She's not stealing. She's stealing because she has to survive, pretty much, and protecting people she loves. So I thought she was really good.
I think Micah during our second viewing, reminds us a lot of Arkham Catwoman.
Arkham City specifically. I was just playing.
I can get that. Yeah.
And I was just playing Arkham City recently. Like, just the mannerisms, the way that she walks, the way that she moves her hip when she walks. It's just like, holy crap. Yeah. She's so good.
She really was good, and I was excited to see everything she was in. Like, she was in a lot of scenes, and we kind of skipped over the initial. I think we accidentally skipped over the initial when he's called. They cut on the bat signal. So
I was going to get there. Yeah, I just wanted to get through some of the characters first. But let's hit that scene, because that's an amazing scene. We finally get to meet Jeffrey Wright's Jim Gordon, and to his credit, he was awesome.
He's really good.
I really liked him. Obviously, it's very similar to the Michael Caine scenario. Gary Oldman is just a far superior actor than him, but his performance was so different than Gary Oldman's was. Gary Oldman had to be this. Not necessarily. Let's just do it like this. I love the fact that they built their relationship from day one. This is a year 2 Batman that's already has Jim Gordon in his pocket. I really enjoyed that, because it just saved us from having to go through this whole oh, Gotham PD's against Batman. No, we're already in it. Like, we don't have to
Well,
worry
Gotham
about that.
PD wasn't. It's just mainly Gordon.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Which is real. It's a really good dynamic. Like they're pretty much a duo. Like
Yeah.
it's not. It's like he's got a Robin
Yeah,
already.
that's pretty cool.
And every time Batman went to a crime scene, Gordon was there. And it was really cool to
Yeah.
see them play off each other.
Yeah.
And they really worked well together.
Yeah, so we're walking into the mayor's apartment, and we get some cops freaked out by Batman because it's still year 2, and yeah, we'll go ahead and hit it here. This film is a little bit heavier on the language than most comic book films, and we knew this going in. It would be a very hard PG-13. I honestly think had this movie had like one seriously violent scene in it, it would have probably tipped over into the R category. But I appreciate the fact that they got their F-bomb out of the way early. PG-13s are only allowed 1 at this point in our film grading process. So, within the first, 20 minutes or so, you get your first F-bomb out of the way. Yeah, and it's it's unnecessary, but at the same time, I appreciate them getting rid of it.
You could breathe for a second. You're
Yeah.
like, okay, out of the way. We know they're not going to be.
Yeah. So
Then I was kind of still holding my breath. I was like, if they've done this in the first 20 minutes, like, is there anything else going to be?
Yeah.
But that was good. There was virtually no like sexual content.
None at all.
Like I was scared when they were going into Penguin's club.
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, and they didn't really show anything.
Nothing.
Well,
Like, it's all background noise in a
Yeah.
way. Like, it's filtered out. You're very focused on one specific character
Yeah.
to the conversation, and it's just kind of, you can't really even tell.
I really like that. I mean, they could have shown a lot.
Oh,
more than what they did.
easily. But yeah, going back to the mayor investigation scene, you immediately walk in and see how smart Bruce is, how smart the Batman is. So much so that he notices an indention in the floor from the Riddler's weapon that he drops.
That no one had noticed.
That no one notices, and it's just this, and it doesn't. He doesn't even mention it until like 2 hours later in the movie. Like when they find the actual murder weapon, he goes, "Murder weapon, the same as the indention was on the floor in the mayor's house." And you're just like, I forgot about that.
They're like, what? What are you talking about?
So, he's already set up as this insanely good detective, and as we continue going through, we see that the Riddler, in a different way, tests his knowledge each time. So the first time it's like just little clues and stuff and riddles. The second time it's just straight up like cyber technology and computers and stuff. And so it just keeps growing and growing, and it's so cool to watch him grow as a detective, but also show what he already knows.
And after this is when we get the Batcave scene. And, and we find out that he wears lenses.
Yeah.
Contact lenses that record everything he's looking at, so he can further analyze.
Yeah.
Back in the Batcave, which was awesome.
Yeah,
I saw that in the trailer, and I was like, "Have detective vision," which would have been really cool, and I think they could set.
It's probably honestly kind of what it is in a way.
Yeah,
in a way.
and they could even show that in the next movie or whatever. But for him to go home and study it adds to the detective.
Yeah.
Well, he says, I have to force myself to remember.
Yeah.
And it's like, you understand how dedicated he is. It's the closest thing to Arkham that I think we're ever going to get on screen.
Yeah.
Because he has internal dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I have to keep this going. I have to be better for the city.
Yeah. And so we continue on in that scene, and we see Gordon multiple times defend Batman. And it's like, we don't have to see their relationship built up. We know where they're at, and it's again nice to see that the directors are treating us like we know stuff. We know Batman and Bruce Wayne are Batman and Gordon are super close. And so it's just nice to see that relationship already built, and we just move on from it.
They genuinely felt like friends. Like
The
way they were interacting.
Yeah.
When they were walking together. They even cracked a few jokes together.
Yeah.
That was really good.
Really good. So let's go to that Batcave scene where he comes back. I love the integration of Alfred helping him, because again, he is still just year 2. I'm going to say that so much throughout this throughout this podcast. Year 2 Batman is nowhere near what 30-year Batman is, and so having Alfred help him with the ciphers of the Riddler and maybe these are the ones that aren't highlighted or something like that. It's so cool, like them showing how smart Alfred really is, and just getting into that knowledge, and even mentions his training in the Secret Service. So
can we talk about how when this is happening after the Batcave, he puts on the sunglasses when he's inside? It's so funny.
Yeah, I mean,
they act like it was really cool what they did with Bruce Wayne, and I know it's a lot of controversy right now, and everybody's like respectful of like he is great as Batman.
Yeah,
but they're like, vibe with this Bruce Wayne. I'm like, they're setting.
You're not supposed to
they're
in this
setting
movie.
up a big story arc for him.
You're-
And they like that was really cool. You barely see because it was bright in the room.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
Yeah. Like, we're not at the billionaire playboy Bruce Wayne yet. We are at a guy who is still mourning the loss of his parents at this point in his life.
Well, he thinks he's gotten over it,
Right.
and he just hasn't yet.
I mean, and that's how depression works. You
Yeah.
think you've gotten over it, and then out of nowhere, you just get hit with it again.
Boom. Yeah.
So I love the angst that he has. I love his portrayal of Bruce Wayne. in
It's
this.
almost like people can't understand it. It's almost like
Exactly.
it's too deep for them.
Exactly,
And
yeah.
like I love it. Like
Yeah.
coming out of the first one, I could see the first viewing. I was like, yeah, it was a little dry and whatever. But going and seeing it again, trying to fully get what he was going for, I loved it.
This is
Well,
not a
even-
Bruce Wayne film.
Even the development as Bruce Wayne from beginning to end with Alfred, it's like
Yeah.
he starts out and they're kind of butting heads, but by the end of the
Cold,
movie,
yeah.
he realizes like, okay, this is my family.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we need to be like work together, and of course at the end of the movie, like as Bruce Wayne, as Batman, he's shifted so much, but it's been so subtle throughout the whole movie.
Yeah.
But there's tells throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
Where do
So
we go from there? What's next?
from there we have
Oh, he figures out the first riddle, which was
Yeah, the first
thumb
riddle.
drive. Riddler cuts off the mayor's thumb, and they figure out what they have to blot out all the letters that were in the cipher or something, and it spells drive.
yeah.
So he goes to the mayor's garage, and then you get the cool scene where Batman figures it out. He's like, "What if it's a thumb drive?" And then he picks it up. He's like, "Thumb drive." It was really cool.
Yeah.
That was a really cool scene. And then you get to
Then we start getting into the iceberg lounge and stuff.
he
and-
goes for the penguin.
So, I'm gonna sing Colin Farrell's praises here a little bit because oh my gosh, I was not expecting that at all. From
Dude,
him.
he killed it.
Well deserved.
He killed
Amazing.
it.
I mean, he is the mob boss penguin that we've all been waiting for. I mean, he starts off as Falcone's lapdog pretty much. He's
Well, he's
Falcone's
right-hand
second
man.
in man. Yeah. I mean, he does whatever Falcone needs. And oh my gosh, they had such great chemistry too. Just for the little scenes they were in, him and
Oh,
Turturro.
man.
Just those little. I mean, yeah, boss. What do you like? It was so
His
cool.
chemistry with Pattinson too.
Immediately.
Like that
Immediately.
when he goes and knocks the cinematography in this film, he's walking up to the iceberg lounge and you're feeling his feet, you're walking
Yeah.
with him. The cinematography,
Matt
and
Reeves is a genius.
it's always raining and it looks so
So
awful, but it looks good.
yeah.
In terms
It's
of film.
Gotham.
It's
It's
they
Gotham.
nailed it. And he walks up to the door, beats on it. He's like, "You know who I am?" Like he is just bad. He's bad to the bone. He knows he's bad.
Yeah.
He walks in there and just starts demolishing people. And I feel like they did the fighting really well.
They did, yeah.
He's very
They
good.
did.
He's very good with his movements.
You felt the weight of his punches.
Yes.
And I think Pattinson is at that perfect body type for Batman,
Really is.
especially to keep to make his slender movements believable. Because you look at somebody like Ben Affleck, who is massive for that role.
He
Like,
doesn't
he's
even fit in
huge.
his suit.
He does, yeah. I mean, there is no way this man is barrel rolling and dodging bullets. I could believe Robert Pattinson in his suit is actually capable of dishing out a punch to knock somebody out, but at the same time being able to avoid knives and gunfire and stuff.
Didn't have to avoid gunfire.
He didn't, yeah. The suit. Let's talk about the bat suit real quick.
Oh my gosh, that's the best.
Looks
suit.
amazing.
It's the best.
Looks amazing. Completely bulletproof, which a lot of people are like, plot armor at its finest. Who cares? It's Batman. Like,
This isn't a.
He's not gonna have a suit that isn't bulletproof.
Christian Bale's bat suit was bulletproof too.
for
the most part. I mean, yeah, they said,
I mean, even later in the movie, he gets shot and it affects him. Like it just depends on the type of shot.
I mean, he gets blasted in the chest with a shotgun. He's like,
Yeah,
he's
he's
like gets
literally-
punched in the gut. Like,
he's-
yeah.
But I feel like they're setting up with that because people are complaining about it. Not a lot of people are complaining about it, but like there have been some.
Yeah.
And I think you could be setting it up for he's like a really bad guy. Like he could fight a Bane. Need the suit.
Yeah.
Like and the suit won't matter at that.
Right. Right.
But just to show like why he could take punches from somebody like Bane or Rock, Clayface, the bigger characters that he could be doing. But even for this movie, it didn't matter that he had that.
Exactly.
It was a brain.
It was a mental. I mean, that's what I love about this movie. There is not a physical challenge for Batman in this movie. No one can stand up to his knowledge of martial arts.
And he
anything.
knows it.
And he knows it.
He knows
That's his
it.
big thing. Like 15 guys walk up around him. Cool, easy fight. but it's the fact that Riddler presents this challenge to him that's just so mental that it's just amazing. So again,
he meets Selena.
yeah, Colin Farrell's praises, amazing,
Yep.
great. Then we meet Selena Kyle. She obviously has something to do with this girl that's gone missing, who was with the mayor, and come to find out, roommate, whatever they want to do with it. They didn't really give a definition of what they were, but it is what it is.
Well, Matt Reeves come out and he said, "I had no
relationship.
He said I wanted to show an intimate relationship, and he said he didn't want it. He said he didn't make it to where it was like they were together.
Yeah. So,
but
oh well.
I mean, you could tell that there was some there, but like even later, she was like she was just a kid, and I feel like that line kind of defined their relationship.
Yeah.
She was just a kid,
so
and the way she falls for Bruce so easily.
Yeah. So, Batman follows her home, spying on her, and like sees her get into her cat suit, and she's gone.
Well, the parallel here, I like
Yes.
between him and Riddler. They
Yes.
start the movie out with him binoculars, and they do the same thing with Batman. So I thought it was
Watching
cool.
somebody- yeah, it was really
I thought it was
cool.
really cool to see them compare them, which is really cool.
So they she goes to the mayor's office. That's when we see our fight that we've seen from the trailer.
Dude, how he enters there, she cracks the case, and he's like, "Really good at that." And
Yeah,
just
this
his
is so cool.
entrances are so cool.
So cool. And so we get that little fight, and then they eventually go ahead.
Catwoman's theme.
Very good,
Dude,
Very good.
so in that scene where he pulls her aside because the officer walks in, and that music that's playing,
Yeah.
and it's just like it's like exciting but like somber and like
It's
relaxing. He's just
almost-
laying there, and it calms down as
Yeah.
the scene progresses, and you're just like
Yeah.
you
It's-
get lost in it, man.
yeah,
that's the only way to put it.
It's almost Incredibles-esque, like the subtle moments in Incredibles. It's almost like that. It's really cool. But then they talk. They go back to her apartment and find Annika or something like that. I don't remember. Annika. They find her missing. Apartment's trashed and everything. So
And their chemistry was really pretty good.
off the start.
It was you could tell the first time they saw each other.
Yeah.
Penguin's like, "What is going on?"
Yeah.
They're looking at each other, and they just kind of vibe off of each other.
Yeah.
And then they ride back on the motorcycles, which was really cool.
Yeah, it's a really
and
cool
his
moment.
cape flapping, it was really cool. And then they go back, and he gets that's when the second riddle pops up.
After
Well, he kills Pete Savage.
Pete Savage.
What was he? He's
current-
commissioner.
Yeah, the current commissioner. I mean, the whole idea of Riddler's plot here is to kill corrupt political officials, and it's something that happens a lot in Gotham, apparently. So, Pete Savage, police commissioner, dies, and
The trap was horrific.
yeah, but it's Saw-esque. It's very
Yeah.
Saw-esque. And the cool thing is, you don't have to see what actually happened to him. You
Yeah.
just know what happened. And
Yeah.
I like that idea. And it's basically just a cage of rats on his head. when it
And
comes
then
down to it.
that-
It's just like a maze, and
Yeah.
oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, and that's when he goes to the crime scene and
Mhm.
talks to Gordon again, and
Yeah.
then he finds the next clue.
And that leads us into a little bit more world building, kind of not necessarily a lull right there in between him finding that and going to the funeral. Mayor, do you have anything you want to throw in between there? I guess meeting Falcone for the first time, really.
At that point before the funeral, we get the incredible scene of her going to the
Working with Batman.
Right. Okay, yeah,
And
that's what I was
you
going
get that
for.
incredible
Yeah,
scene where he's talking in her ear, Catwoman. She goes in to investigate, and
Was it
Batman.
the DA? No, it's not the DA.
It's a deal.
Okay.
Yeah, she
And
doesn't
the
go in
security
for the
council.
DA.
Yeah.
She's going in.
For Annika. To find Falcone for Annika. Figure out where she's at, and then he sees the DA.
Yeah, well, Batman figures out that
Yeah.
she goes here, and he's wanting to know who Riddler's next victim
Yeah.
is.
They're looking for the rat.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. And then she finds Gil Colson, who was he was really good. He's a good actor
he's
for
really
what
good.
what he did. And the contact lenses, Batman talking in her ear, and when she's disconnected, he's like, "You know who Falcone is?" And when she talks to Falcone,
Yeah.
and he's like, "What's going on?" And the acting and his voice and just his, and he's like, "No," that was really cool, really good. It was such a good scene.
Yeah. So
And then that leads to Riddler getting Coulson.
we cut to Coulson getting in his car. Riddler's just in the vehicle behind him, and puts this basically explosive collar on his neck.
He takes off the headrest and sits it.
Yeah.
And he turns around and Riddler's just there. And
yeah,
it's just awesome.
It's like they said, 7, Zodiac Killer, and obviously year 1, year 2, and Long Halloween for Batman. This is what this is, and it's not a comic book movie. It is a detective thriller, really.
Or is it a comic book movie?
It's a both.
Well, I mean, yeah, it is, because this
Because
is probably the most
these-
accurate Batman comic book
Yes.
ever. This is an actual comic book movie. Now, we've been led to believe a comic book movie should be.
Marvel's let us
Marvel.
Marvel's let us believe that comic book movies are just we're using this subpar villain,
Yeah,
set up this subpar story,
fun, funny, big CGI,
big
fight.
actions, big
Yeah.
CGI fights, and this is just deep. And people, it's gonna take people a couple
It
watches
will.
to get it.
It will.
It's gonna take
That's
them.
why everybody needs to watch it twice, man.
I think it's a
the,
two.
the first watch, you have to pay too much attention.
Mhm.
The wheels are turning too much. Trying to stay with it because the pacing is excellent. There's just so much.
Yeah.
So it's like the second watch, you can kind of calm down, enjoy it. It's
Yeah, you know
It's
what's
so
gonna
much
you know
better.
what's gonna happen, and you can appreciate it more.
Yeah.
The first I was like, hey, that happened. I was looking for Easter eggs. That happened.
Yeah, the Easter egg hunt was big on the first watch. Yeah.
and then going from there, we go to the funeral, and that's
I mean, we've seen most of that from the trailers.
and they released the
Coulson
clip.
drives into the funeral with the bomb, phone in his hand. Riddler's calling, and we get the amazing scene of Batman walking in, trying to help Coulson get
The
the
music
collar off.
starts
The
as soon
music's
you
amazing.
hear his
Yeah.
footsteps again, and that's just so awesome.
And I love the fact that Coulson's got 2 minutes, and within 30 seconds, Batman's giving him the answers to the riddles. He's just immediately, boom,
justice,
boom,
justice,
yeah.
justice.
Bribe. How much did you pay
Coulson's
off?
freaking out, and Batman's like, he's like, if you are justice. No, what was the first riddle?
It's you are
If you're
justice.
justice,
and all that.
lie.
No,
Oh yeah, that's the bribe one.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's the bribe. That's the second one.
I don't remember what the first one, but the answer is justice. I don't remember. Anyway, it's a stellar scene. It really is, and the fact that this is honestly one of Batman's apparently first times not really being able to save the person, because there's this unbelief that he's literally got 5 seconds left to live on this stopwatch.
Yeah, but he was gonna save him.
Yeah,
Like he had it in the bag.
he's telling him what to do.
Who are you saving?
Yeah. There is nothing he can do. Who's the rat? And this guy's like, no, I'd rather die.
Yeah, well,
My family's
the
in
dude
danger.
makes a good point. He's like, if I say that I'm dead either way,
Yeah.
but if I say the name, I've got family.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my gosh, there's another threat out here.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I
And
mean?
then that's when Batman's like goes so much deeper
Yeah.
than what I was thinking.
And
These dudes are willing to die before tell the
Yeah.
truth.
so the ending of this scene probably gets into the only scene that I really have a almost issue with. Batman just face tanks that explosion. I mean, he's from me to this microphone to this guy's neck where the bomb's at, with an open mask face right here and an explosion right there. It's the only thing that really isn't believable in the movie, in my opinion. I don't know if you have a
Okay,
counter to
I think I've listened to people talk about this one, and my opinion, these bombs aren't crazy. These bombs aren't blowing up buildings. He's tanking bullets. He survives a shot to the chest with a shotgun up close. Alfred survives it. That's what I was going to get into. Alfred takes it, tosses it a little bit away, and then turns its back, and he survives. Batman's got a suit of armor on. I guess my only complaint would be show a little scratch on
That's
his
my
chin.
thing. Yeah, there was
Show a little damage on his
no
chin.
visible damage. Yeah,
But I wasn't put off by it. I wasn't.
and again, that's probably the closest thing to a modern day comic book movie style of scene, just because of the amount that he survived right there without showing any damage.
I mean, yeah, but he was knocked out.
He
He was out.
Yeah.
I agree. You could show a little cut on the chin or whatever.
That was really the only scene that I actually have not a problem with, but just have a little. But anyway, come from that scene, and he wakes up in the GCPD surrounded by infinite number of cops, and we get probably one of my favorite scenes in the movie with him and Gordon talking.
I like before that when the new commissioner.
Yeah.
He's like, I got you on assaulting a cop. He's like, make it 2.
Make it 2. Yeah.
He says, you've got me on 3.
Yeah.
yeah. It's just the. Batman.
The
Batman.
wittiness,
He's cocky
Yeah.
kind of. he knows he's the baddest
If
man
I
in
wanted
the
to
room.
get out of here, I could. Like, that's not the issue. And so we get this moment of, like, him and Gordon secretly whispering, and take this key, go to the right, and he said, punch me, and make it look good. And he just lays him out. And, like, we get the callback to that. You could have pulled that punch. I did. Like, it was so good. So good.
Their relationship is really
it was really good. And so this eventually leads to Catwoman finding the rat, being the guy from the Iceberg Lounge. I don't remember his name, but it's the corrupt cop.
Kinsey,
yes.
narcotics.
Narcotics, yeah. What does that mean?
Moonlights. Those lines, the dialogue was great.
It's great.
In this movie.
It's great. And so they come up to the top, and there's Kinsey with Catwoman. She's beating the crap out of him, like threatening to kill him because, well, he's the one that killed Anakin. We'll get back because I skipped a scene there because I want to talk about that one a bit more.
I was about
than
to
this
say
one.
we skipped a big one.
Yeah, I want to talk about that one a lot because that's probably my favorite action set piece of the film. So let's talk about this real quick. And we get this idea of Batman really showing justice instead of vengeance. He's saying, "Why do we have to kill this guy? That's not who we are. He's gonna go away forever." And she's like, "They own the police, whatever."
Both have great compelling points.
They do because
and that's always been Catwoman
so
and
corrupt.
Batman.
And so we finally get the breakdown of what's happening. We have the build it back better fund for Gotham, pretty much.
What does he say? He comes up the elevator, and she's like, "I got the guy that." He's like, "I see that."
I see that.
Really,
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
really
Yeah.
like. Okay, I just want to bring that up.
So let's get to the scene that we skipped here because I wanted to spend a little bit more time on this. The Batmobile, and my gosh, this is my favorite Batmobile of all time.
Well, the reason they're here is because the Riddler gave him another one,
A clue.
the rat with wings,
Yeah.
and he's trying to figure, and he thought it was
The Penguin.
That's why he shows up and it's this big
Yeah.
drug bust, pretty much.
So, it is. It's a drug bust. So we find Selena Kyle sneaking in to grab money, as she is known to do.
That was a really
And,
good action scene too
yeah.
with her.
Yeah, and so they open the back, and lo and behold, they find the body of Annika, who's dead. Back of Kinsey's car, Annika, whatever. I'm not foreign. And she freaks out, obviously, and that's what leads to her getting Kinsey on top of the GCPD roof. We mentioned before. And they start opening fire, and Penguin comes around the corner with the Uzi, and there's nobody there. Vengeance! Trying to steal my money, and then out of nowhere, just the lights turn on, and it's very reminiscent of The Dark Knight Rises with the Bat. Whenever they first introduced the Bat, and he turns the lights on in the middle, all the GCPD's following him, but it's just in the dark corner, just the lights of the Batmobile come on. You hear the engine roar and the blue fire at the back.
Well, it's like you're hearing Batman. You hear it before you see it, which was really cool. You hear his footsteps, and then you hear the Batmobile,
engine,
and then it cuts on, and you see it, and man, it is. It's my favorite Batmobile now.
Yeah. So we get to my favorite action set piece of the whole movie. In the car chase, going the opposite way on the interstate,
There's actually cars.
there's physical people driving.
It's not just
there
Batman
are
on the interstate by
stakes.
himself.
Yeah,
That's what they did in the
there
Dark
are
Knight movies.
stakes in here. So it's like, you get all these dodging and bobbing, and eventually it just causes this big crash with this oil tanker. And I got you, see, and we see him walking out of the fire.
Best shot.
It's the best shot in the whole movie.
One of the scores.
Oh man,
It's
swells.
the perfect.
It's like a Mexican standoff
Yes.
with Batman.
But he's already won, so there's no standoff.
Yeah.
It's so cool. Yeah, it's so cool. And then we get him. They've captured Penguin.
Oh, man, you get the
Probably
funniest
the
scene.
funniest scene of the whole movie. This guy's terrible at Spanish.
Yeah, he's like, this guy's such a genius. He can't even get. Am I the only one that knows Ellen Law? And you're sitting there, you're like, oh, he's right. Like
Yeah.
we were like El Rada Alada,
Yeah.
and he's like, it's law. He's like,
Yeah.
it's feminine. And
Yeah.
then him and Gordon are like, fun.
Yeah.
And then he figures out that it's URL Rada Alada, the website.
Yeah.
Which is it's really,
It's so cool.
It's so like sitting there thinking you can't figure it out, but it's like hard. Like it's hard.
Yeah.
Right.
URL. Cool. And then he gets to talk to Rick.
Yeah.
And stuff.
It was so cool.
Really just reminiscent of Arkham.
Yeah.
Reminded me a lot of Arkham.
Yeah.
So we'll go from there to the old Gotham orphanage, where we get the biggest Easter egg in my mind of the whole movie, Hush, who I think will fit perfectly in this universe if they do him right. Obviously, we learn Thomas Wayne went to Carmine Falcone to take care of. It's not Tommy Elliott. Who is it?
Edward
Elliott.
His dad.
His dad, who's a reporter who found out that basically Martha Wayne, who was in Arkham Asylum for being insane, pretty much because she watched her mother kill her dad and then kill herself.
And he was doing this to ruin Thomas Wayne's mayoral
campaign. Yeah. So, it's such a moment for Bruce because he's like, my dad's not this icon that I've made him. Like, this is literally my hero, and he's doing this. So
yeah, that Hush Easter. Good.
Yeah, and it wasn't shoehorned in at all. Like, it was actually like
you had to notice it.
You had to.
This was really cool.
And so we get Bruce Wayne this time going to the Iceberg Lounge to talk to Carmine Falcone.
I know he figures out that he's the next victim.
Who? Bruce himself?
Yeah,
from the paper
so
article.
That's when he's riding to see Alfred.
And then
that whole scene stressed me out too.
It was
and you could just the acting in that ride when he's yelling, he's trying to reach Alfred.
Yeah.
Well, what's so funny about that? Gordon looks over to find the Batman. He's already in the Batmobile. He's gone as soon as he figures it out.
Yeah. So I mean,
that expectation subversion.
Yeah.
Where we thought he was going to reach Alfred, but Alfred had
he's already in the
hospital an hour ago.
Wayne Manor's in flames, and
this is when they start building up Alfred and Bruce's relationship.
And it's
Bruce
good.
finally realizes that
he needs him.
Yeah. And you get the line of the doctor, anybody else we can reach, and he's like,
yeah.
And he realizes that he's the only person Alfred cares for too.
Yeah.
Which is really good. That's when you get the Bruce Wayne walking up. You know who I am. The Iceberg Lounge.
Yeah. You know who I am. Yeah. The twins were funny in that too.
Oh yeah.
The goofy henchman. Yeah, goofy henchman. So let's see. We get him talking to Carmine Falcone about the actual hit on his dad and stuff, and obviously beforehand, Alfred's told him Carmine Falcone basically is the one who more than likely killed
after.
her. Well, yeah, but he got jumbled up there.
Yeah, he gets confused by Falcone. Falcone lies to him, tells him it's pretty much Maroni.
Yeah, and then Alfred was the one who's like,
where the first time he goes into the Iceberg Lounge, he goes, "You know who I am," and then when he's Bruce, he goes, "You know who I am."
Yeah,
it's so cool. Like the subtleties of like.
Yeah.
Oh,
and it's showing the power he actually has as Bruce Wayne, and they're just setting that up for the next movies. Like he's gonna have a lot of power in what he does with the Wayne Enterprises and technology and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. So, we'll go from here and kind of catch back up to where we should be, and that's when Catwoman goes to kill Falcone after interrogating Kinsey. Finds out that pretty much, Falcone's the reason Annika's dead. And goes in, and we have this amazing scene where Bruce isn't even in the Batman costume, and he's just making his way, sneaking, hiding, and it just shows you the stealth aspect of
cutting the power.
Yeah, cutting the power, and man, I love the scene where this is again John Turturro being a great actor. He's responsible for her death, and he's just lying straight to Selina's face, and she knows it too. And it's just these two actors who know something that the other doesn't, but at the same time, they just play so well with each other. The acting in this movie is just on another level for all these guys.
Yeah, it's really good. And we got to get moving. So,
we do. We got Paul Dano. Let's just
Well, they get to the pretty much end of the movie, solve the crime where the Falcone, the rat, the Falcon wings. Mm-hmm. So you get that, and he brings him to the light.
Yeah.
Interrogation scene at Arkham, where Riddler genuinely thinks he was teaming up with Batman, and it's really cool.
It's this great moment of you finally see a depth of insanity to the Riddler, who believed so wholeheartedly that him and Batman were going to save Gotham together, but it's so against who Batman is. I'm not helping you. I'm just trying to stop you at this point. Like,
but then he realized he's like, crap. I did help him get Falcone in the light.
Yeah.
And but at the same time, Falcone, he's done now. And then now you have the Penguin. That scene where he was like, "You rat," and it was really good. And then he gets shot.
Yeah.
And then But that whole interrogation scene was
It's
amazing. And
very reminiscent of the Dark Knight interrogation scene.
yeah, Paul Dano, your general thoughts on his Riddler as a whole?
Yeah.
So good. That scene specifically. Well, I guess I'll rewind.
Go ahead.
The whole from the very first scene, you see that he's awkward almost in stature, but he's so smart, and he even mentions that in the interrogation scene, and you can tell oh my gosh, I thought I had it figured out, and then something happens where he's like, oh no, oh, you're not as smart as I thought you were.
Yeah.
And then where it's like that realization of, oh my gosh, how did I thought I had everything planned out to, you're the slow one.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, and just the way that he's so I don't want to say manipulative, but just Bruce Wayne.
He's
it makes my
insane.
skin crawl, dude. He's nuts, and it's awesome.
All right, so we're pretty much at the end of the film. Obviously, because the ending of this film has such an amazing finale in it. We get to this idea of Batman becoming a symbol of hope.
Yeah, he saves everybody from the arena where the seawall was breached. City's flooding. He saves everybody. Awesome action piece. People were complaining about the third act. I thought it was great. I thought you got to define what he wants to become in that.
That's the idea of it all.
And the main part of the arena scene was when he takes off the symbol and then he shocks himself.
Yeah.
Saves everybody from the electricity, water, and then he goes over and he's reaching for people that are stuck in the water. And they're hesitant at first. They're like, this dude is vengeance. You know? And then the little boy reaches for him, which was my second viewing. I got chills because I didn't realize it the first one that he was the one that reached for him.
It's so cool.
And then he leads everybody out.
Because it's throughout the whole movie, we keep seeing the same kid, and it's like he is the symbol of what Bruce is.
He sees himself in him.
Yeah. So people are theorizing that this might be the first Robin, just a different take on Robin with this kid. I don't know how it's just theories at this point, but I love the idea that we have this mirror to Bruce's childhood.
Yeah, it's really cool.
All right, final thoughts, since we kind of got to wrap it up here. This movie is amazing. Please watch this movie. I know you guys have your final ratings for it. I have mine right now. Mine will probably change after I watch it tomorrow. My final rating right now is a 9.7. I've still got room to watch. Of course, when we get into the 9s, it's a whole new ballgame because once a movie's a 9, then it's physically watching it to see, okay, does this land? Does this land? This isn't that good, so it's minus a point, but this is better, so it's 2 points. So it's like, man, it's just such this critique that we all three have, and I love watching movies with you guys and enjoying this. So, your 2 final ratings.
Yeah, my first watch, I was like, I don't know how to rate it. I'm going to have to watch it again. So I watched it again, and we watched it, and I was even more excited for the second viewing. And upon the second viewing, I was looking for what doesn't fit.
Right.
Why do some people not like this movie? And I'm looking at why they don't like the movie, and I'm analyzing those points.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, they're like, we don't like Bruce Wayne's, and I loved it. I think they nailed it. We don't like the third act. I love the third act. I think they hit the nail on the head with him becoming hope instead of vengeance, and the voiceover of him realizing that he needs to become more for Gotham.
Yeah.
I thought it was great. And so upon viewing, I literally have almost no issue with this movie. So it is going to be a 9.9 for me.
9.9? That's solid.
Because it is almost perfect.
Michael Witt?
I think it's better than Dark Knight. I literally think it's a 10 out of 10. And I'm not even kidding, man. It's like, the first time I watched it, it was like a 9.65, and then it's like, okay, I went back in to watch it again the other night, and it's just, dude, I'm trying to sit here and think what is wrong with the movie, and I can't think. Like, maybe eventually it might go down to like a 9.98, but it's right now I have it as my favorite movie of all time, because Dark Knight was, and I think it's better. So.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And I know for me and Caleb, Dark Knight's what we grew up on, and it's so hard to put these two one above the other because they're so different. They really are. So it's like,
yeah, they're pretty much tied for me because they're so different.
I'm so excited to go watch this movie again tomorrow. And you finally get my final rating, but I mean, you've heard it across the board here.
Awesome.
9s, high 9s. This movie's amazing. Please go watch it. With that being said, thank you guys so much for listening. Appreciate all the support. This is Micah.
Caleb.
This is Whit.
Y'all have a wonderful day.